Hi, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm Nicole Middlebrook with the First Coast Collective team with Remax Unlimited here in Ponte Vedra, Florida. We will be covering the top 5 commonly made mistakes by first-time homebuyers and how to avoid them. A couple housekeeping tips as we begin. Towards the end of the presentation, there will be a QR code for you to receive the transaction timeline. This is a helpful checklist for home buyers as they begin to navigate the home buying process, and it covers everything from the preparation phase to post-closing. So please be sure to scan the QR code for this document. And then also I will be reading through each of the slides and peppering in some of my own advice as we go along. So without further ado, I will turn it over to our presentation. So So before we get started, a little bit about me. For the past 5 years, I've served residential buyers and sellers in St. Johns, Duval, Clay, and Nassau counties here in Northeast Florida. I believe that the home buying process isn't just a transaction and that it's a life event which deserves special attention. So with that being said, let's jump right into commonly made mistake number 1. So mistake number 1, not understanding your budget and financing options. Every buyer's financial situation is unique, and knowing your numbers is the key to making a confident move. So let's take the guesswork out of it. We connect you with mortgage lenders to help you create a personalized budget with the best financing options. So certainly working with the lender or your financial advisor is a great starting point. So why? So we want to be sure that you're getting pre-approved. That is essential. Pre-approved, not pre-qualified. Because what that does is that sets you up for being a ready, willing, and able buyer in our market. So common budgeting mistakes, what are those? We want to be sure that you have upfront costs saved. So whether that's the binder or your good faith deposit, that tends to be between 1 and 3% of the purchase price as your down payment. And then also, upfront costs for your inspection, that's usually between $300 and $500, or if you need a little bit of an emergency fund. We certainly don't want to stress and overextend on a mortgage. So that's, please be aware as you're creating your budget for those costs. How to find the right loan program that works for your needs. Your lender can guide you with loan programs and which ones will work best for you. And then a few do's and don'ts. So, don't open another line of credit. Don't book a large vacation. Don't open a bank account. Don't make any large movements with money. And please do not quit your job. It's exciting to start home shopping, but first know your numbers. Check with your credit score, avoid big purchases, and be ready to speak with the lender to start the process confidently. Another thing that's helpful is to also download Credit Karma. It's another good way to just kind of keep tabs on your credit to make sure that you're also in good standing. Mistake number 2, waiting too long or rushing the process. Timing is everything in real estate, but it's different for every buyer. If you're wondering whether now is the right time for you, let's talk. In a quick one-on-one chat, we can go over your situation and build a timeline that fits your goals. So things to consider, how market conditions impact timing. So, that could be interest rates, housing inventory, holidays, the weather. If you have children, is it the school year? The risks of waiting too long, losing buying power, and increasing prices. As far as waiting too long goes, a little tip here is your pre-approvals are generally good for 90 days. So we want to be sure that once we have a pre-approval, we are actively working with our time frame. So we aren't, rushing the process because we've waited too long. We want to make sure that we're maximizing our time in the market as a buyer. The dangers of rushing without due diligence. So skipping inspections and overpaying possibly on a property. Never will I ever recommend that anyone skip an inspection. That is your due diligence. So we don't want to rush ourselves through the process at all. You owe it to yourself to be very thorough throughout every part of the home buying process. and how to find the right home or right time to buy based on personal and market factors. So, pro tip here, based on your purchase timeline, having been pre-approved by a lender saves time and lets you shop with confidence. It ensures that you are ready, willing, and able, and in control, giving you peace of mind as you start the process. As you'll find out, that sometimes the pre-approval process can take a couple of weeks by the time you're, providing all the right documentation to the lender. So, if you have a timeline that you're working with, we can save time by you being pre-approved, you know, in the very, very beginning. And then also going back to how to find the right time to purchase based on personal and market factors, sometimes that's a question you have to self-reflect on. Just kind of find out what works best for you and your family as you consider a purchase and, working in the market. Mistake number 3, not knowing what to look for in a home. So finding the perfect home isn't just about looks, it's about lifestyle, value, and long-term potential. At your home buying plan consultation, we will sit down and create a clear vision of what you really want so we can find a home that meets your needs now and in the future. A saying I often say is that the E's in real estate all stand for emotion. Sure, it's an exciting time to be, exploring the home buying process, but it's not without experiencing every emotion under the sun as well. And so, you know, being in a calm place and understanding the difference between your wants and your needs and your non-negotiables for the purchase is also important. So sometimes we can include the family on this as we create, the criteria for the property. Why resale value should be part of your decision, the importance of considering location, commute, and lifestyle needs, and an acronym called FORD, Family, Occupation, Recreation, and Dreams. So, everything that speaks to your family will be part of what creates the criteria for the purchase. Going back to considering location and commute might apply to occupation. Recreation, what is it that your family or that you do for fun? What fills your cup? So let's make sure we're including that, and looking at that for the purchase. And then dreams, how can we make your dreams come true with the purchase? What are your goals? How do we achieve them? You'll find that sometimes a lot of details go into, knowing what to look for in a home, and sharing as much as you can with your real estate professional will certainly help them be able to best guide you. As life evolves, so do your needs and priorities. The average homeowner stays in their home for 13 years, so choose a home that aligns with Ford to maximize its personal value. Mistake number 4, not understanding the offer and negotiation process. So, having a dedicated expert on your side can mean the difference between a smooth, successful home purchase and costly surprises. Whether you're looking at new construction or resale, your home buying consult will cover how we protect your interest and negotiate the best deal for you. It'll help you avoid common mistakes that weaken an offer, for example, lowballing or coming in with bad contingencies. We certainly want to make sure that when we're making offers, we are making offers that are not insulting. We don't want to turn away a seller. In fact, we want the seller to work with us. That's why we're bringing an offer to the table. The power of negotiation and how to navigate counteroffers, certainly work with a real estate agent that you believe in. I even invite you to, if you find an agent that you think you're interested in, look them up on Google, read their reviews, see what the positives were that people had to say so you can believe in how they're going to better serve you, or perhaps interview a couple of realtors. How to protect yourself in the contract process. Be very aware, do your due diligence as a buyer, as someone who's in this market. New construction pointers. I highly recommend that when the time comes, if you're interested in new construction, certainly make sure you have the representation of a real estate professional, which will mean that you go into a exclusive agency agreement with that professional. Consider your agent's list of recommended vendors rather than going off on a limb. That's what your agent is there for. If you have questions, if you need recommendations, please do not be afraid to ask. We have the resources available to help you. Remember, this process may be new to you. Do not hesitate to ask questions if you're unsure about anything or why your agent is making certain recommendations. Mistake number 5, skipping important steps before closing. So you're almost there, but the final steps of the home buying process are where small mistakes can turn into big headaches. At your home buying plan consult, we'll make sure that you're fully prepared for a smooth closing. So the meat and potatoes of the transaction timeline include your inspections, submitting documents requested by the lender in a timely manner, the importance of the final walkthrough and what to look for, and being prepared for closing day. Going back to inspections, I highly recommend that you are present the day of inspections. So this way you can meet with the inspector and ask any question you have regarding the property and how it functions. That's your due diligence. You as a buyer, that is your time to find out everything you need to know about that property. Submitting documents requested by the lender in a timely manner. Certainly, it's like help the lender help you. You want to be, all things are tied to a timeline. We watch your dates and we want to make sure that we are abiding by the dates in the contract to ensure that all things are moving forward in a timely manner. The importance of the final walkthrough, you want to make sure that everything that you discussed through your due diligence period has either been addressed and is in better, if not the same condition that you last saw the property, and that receipts, if there were repairs that were made, have been turned in and that those are on file for you. Be prepared for closing day. So what does that mean? We want to make sure that, the final monies have been wired to closing, that you know where to arrive for closing day, that you have your driver's license on you, that you've received contacts for your utilities and what needs to be turned on when. So just ask yourself, imagine your dream closing day. How do you want to feel on this day? Ideally, refreshed, excited, and ready. And so proper communication and staying on top of all the things I've mentioned on this slide will certainly help you feel that way. Again, this kind of goes back to those ease of managing the ease of real estate. It's no small task managing those emotions. And so we just want to make sure that we are doing the next right thing to keep us moving forward in this process. And here is the QR code for the transaction timeline. So feel free to scan this. You'll be happy you did as you move forward in the process. And thank you. Thank you so much for joining me today. And, certainly feel free to share my contact if I can be of any assistance to you or anyone you know looking to make a move here soon. It would be my pleasure to serve you.